situation that is more common than a lot of women realize is their partner being resentful or jealous of the mother's relationship with the baby. And this is a tricky one because usually the mother, the partner, they have really big feelings around this. Something important to remember is that many times the reaction that the partner is having and the reaction mom is having oftentimes come from subconscious programming, especially on the part of the partner. So for example, you, the mother, potentially pulling away from your partner, or not even pulling away, but just spending more time with the baby, which makes sense, right? The baby, a newborn needs a lot. It might be triggering old stuff that they have around self-confidence, abandonment. They could be feeling threatened because all of this time that you used to devote to them is now shifted to baby. And for a lot of people, that's the core of that resentment that they feel in the early days of the baby's life. And then there's the mother's emotions. You know, if our primal instinct to care for our baby feels threatened, it's really easy to lose empathy for our partner's emotions. It's like, get over it. I'm taking care of the baby. You deal with your own emotional needs. That's a really common response, and one that I don't at all blame women for having. So again, tricky. So in addition to those subconscious responses, part of this resentment might have started during pregnancy because you've had, by the time the baby's born, you've had almost 9 months to form this bond. It's like if you grew the baby in your own body, you had 9 months where you felt the baby growing. You felt that very real, visceral bond, or at least a lot of women do. It's totally fine if you didn't feel that. Some women don't. But if you did feel that, you're 9 months ahead of your partner in regards to bonding. So they might feel like, even if they, love the baby and whatnot, subconsciously, they're like, what's the big deal? Why are you so obsessed with just always being with the baby? They don't get it yet because they haven't had that time to bond. And I want to make it clear that I know that every partner is not like that. It's just some partners that get triggered in this way. If you're breastfeeding, there's another thing that you and the baby have that your partner isn't a part of. So it's fairly common for the partner to feel pretty left out, at least in the early days. And essentially in this situation, at least before you get strategies for communication, both people, you and your partner, might feel like it's near impossible to understand each other because both of you probably feel like your point of view is completely right. And strangely, that's a great place to start, realizing that both of you are just expressing what feels true to you. Neither of you has the intention of hurting the other, I assume. And so from the base of that understanding, you can start to build some resolution. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. And as you work through these strategies, try to remember that you're not in like a win or lose situation. Like there's one party that gets to be the righteous victor. The only winning comes when the two of you start to understand each other and find resolution that works for both of you. It's not the kind of situation that somebody's going to come out like, yeah, I was right and they were wrong. That's not the goal, to convince the other person that you're right. It's to help to understand them and to help them understand you. So first and foremost, talk it out. If you feel like your partner is resentful or jealous of your connection with the baby, talk about it. And you want to create the ideal environment for a productive conversation by creating the ground rule that you each get to share without any interruption. And this is really important because a lot of times when the other person is sharing and we hear something that we really disagree with, we want to butt in and say, no, you're wrong and this is why. And then they get mad because we interrupted them, and then you start a fight. So we really want to avoid that by just letting them get it all out and trusting that if you have this like rebuttal that you feel like, oh, if I just don't say it right now, I'm going to forget it. I really believe that anything worth saying, you will remember it when the time comes. So just let it go in the moment and fully focus on hearing your partner, even if what they're saying is pissing you off, even if what they're saying you feel like you are completely wrong. Just hear them and let them speak. And then you get your turn as well. That's equally important. They do not get the right to interrupt you. You get to fully share your side as well. And then with both of you, create the ground rule that after one person is finished sharing, the other person needs to pause for about 10 seconds. So they're not just immediately jumping into all their rebuttals, but they're really trying to think about what the other person said. And then before they get into all of their stuff, to try to repeat the gist of what the other person was trying to say. And then the other person gets to say, yeah, that is what I was trying to express, or no, you're understanding it wrong. And that's where that true deep understanding can come from. And then once you make sure that you understand where they were coming from, what they're saying, then you can share your side. Let's see. This process might feel really frustrating and inorganic at first, but if you really commit to it, you both promise to follow these rules, it will hopefully lead to, again, that deep understanding and resolution, and can hopefully transform other more difficult conversations that the two of you have. Okay, another great thing to do to reduce this resentment that your partner has about your connection with the baby is to create more opportunities for them to bond with baby. Because if they develop that deeper bond and they get to know what all the fuss is all about, they likely won't judge you as much for putting so much care into your relationship with your baby. So you can support them in this bonding by giving them some alone time to go on a short walk, do a bottle feeding, change a diaper. And it's really important that you're not there for it, because especially if the baby's really connected to you, they're just going to be like, mama, like, I want you, I don't want this person. So, and it can even just be like 10 to 15 minutes that they have some alone time, but letting them have that solo time can be really important in helping them build that bond. It's also a great idea to accept your partner's help, even if they don't do things the way that you want them to do it. So mothers, we usually develop routines that we feel really good about. Usually we are the master at like diaper changes and bathing the baby. And so a lot of times it can feel just more efficient for us to just do it. But, you know, as hard as it is to cede control over some of those tasks, giving your partner more responsibility with the baby and allowing them to do those things their way can, again, further deepen that bond with the baby, can make them feel like they're more a part of baby's care, of baby's life, and it gives you more time to take a shower or do something for yourself. So giving them more responsibility, and as hard as it is, letting them do things their way and not trying to micromanage. Okay. Something else that's important is remembering that your partner is also going through a big emotional shift. I'm not at all saying that they get carte blanche to just treat you in a crappy way, or that what you're going through isn't worse, because I can almost, or not worse, but like more intense, because especially if you birth the baby, I'm sorry, but mothers, we go through such an intense period in those early days of baby's life. But to just keep it in the back of your mind that your partner is also going through different emotional shakeups. If it's a man, their testosterone levels sometimes get wonky in the early days of baby's life. So sometimes they do actually have some slight hormonal shifts that are happening. And I say all this to just help you have a frame of reference for where they're coming from. They might feel slightly irrational with some things. They might not be able to control their temper sometimes. You know, they're also going through some changes. All right. Finally, notice if you start to pull away from your baby because of your partner's reaction. You should not be made to feel guilty for your connection with your baby. Your partner does not have that right. Them feeling like you spend too much time with baby or whatever should not result in you caring for your baby less. Again, the communication with your partner, that's all important. Having them spend some more time with baby, that's all great. But if your partner is really making you feel pressured to not feel the same way about your baby or spend less time with them, I really think it's important for you and your partner to go and see a mental health specialist, a marriage and family therapist, to get some professional support in navigating this situation, because the number one goal in all of this is making sure that the baby is ultimately supported, and you as well as the mother, but we want to make sure that the baby's care doesn't suffer because of your partner's jealousy. So seek that professional support if you feel like the situation is just too difficult to navigate on your own. All right, sending you lots of love. Let me know if you have any questions about this or any other questions about pregnancy, childbirth, early motherhood in the comments below.